For the last 3 years, Community for the Kingdom groups here at St. Joseph have been working to build communities of love and respond to a call to action throughout the parish and in Lake County. I'm joined by two members, John Morgan and Michelle Hobson, and their small group, to share their calls to action and how they've responded to God's call to build a community of love. John, Michelle, welcome. It's good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We've been hearing some great stories from you about calls to action or so in your group, and there are some incredible stories that you share, but I wanted you to share with people a couple of the really actions and calls to service that you've done that have impacted a great number in the community. Please do.
Sure. So one that probably the earliest one we did that was impactful was at a pad shelter, which is an overnight church shelter for homeless people. I was working there one night and it was a cold night, and there were a number of infants there, unfortunately. And a woman asked me, do you have any little mittens for a little child? And I looked around and I couldn't find them, so I had to find little socks and put them on her, to the child. That wasn't very good. So the next time we had a Community for the Kingdom meeting, I mentioned this to everybody, and a couple of people just connected up with, well, there's the prayer shawl ministry, maybe they could knit some mittens and booties and little hats for them. And then a byproduct of talking about the homeless shelters is one day one of the people in our Community for the Kingdom group came by with like 15 or 20 brand new coats for little kids, children, which I took over there. So that one kind of rippled through, and I think when people find out that children or infants are living in those conditions, it really moves them more than maybe some other activities.
They certainly do. Michelle, you have actually an example of another one of the stories that you've done, the blessing bags or so. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so this was an all hands on deck opportunity for the entire team. So we came up with this idea to create these kits, I'll call them bags, that have very useful things in them for homeless people. So we've got snacks, we've got first aid, we've got water, we've got hand warmers, etc. The idea is that we would each take a couple of these in our cars, and as we came across homeless people, wherever that may be, we would give these out. So we put a couple dozen of these together a few months ago, and we're actually ready to do another run of these bags tonight. We've added a few things. We've added a nice personalized note card that we're all going to sign, and a $5 gift card for McDonald's. So lots of good stories as we meet each month. We talk about who has received these bags, and it's obviously just very moving for us, rewarding for us as we make these, but as we give them as well.
Sure. I know you both have shared before there's countless other calls to action that your group has responded to. But for some groups out there that are still kind of racking their brains as to what can we do, or what is God calling us to do, what encouragement would you give to some of those groups who are still seeking a call to action for their own members or so?
Yeah, I think the first thing, John, jump into, the first thing is just talk about it as a group. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be very simple. This was fun. This was an activity. This was a lot of fun to do. We also did a coat drive, which was a lot of work actually, but again, very rewarding. So I think just kind of, go from the small things to, maybe it's a bigger group activity, but even things like writing letters, or visiting at Winchester House. I know a lot of groups have done that in the past. Anything that comes to mind, John?
It's just in your daily life to be more aware of the needs of other people. We live in an affluent community here, but as you drive around or listen to other people's stories, there are needs, and you can find a way to do them. So we have a friend who does a lot of this activity that's not in our group, but she realized the need that a lot of kids this was Waukegan, needed shoes, so she put together a program to collect new, slightly used shoes at St. Joseph's Parish School, as well as Libertyville High School. So a few times she came over to our Community for the Kingdom groups and talked to us about it. And I think we got more than 100 pairs of shoes, and she took those to Waukegan. So it's just knowing people, and she knew us, and can I come? Sure, come. Well, And that was an idea we would have never come up with on our own, and she's not even a member of our group. So.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I know there's probably going to be some people watching who are still curious as to what Communities for the Kingdom are, what is involved in a small group, let alone what a call to action is. For those people who might be still wondering or might be curious about either joining a group or learning more, what words of encouragement or inspiration would you give to them?
For me, it's a very powerful and moving time to connect with our parish, to connect with each other, to witness our love for Christ. It is really very profound when we do get together and we end up having all of these stories. We certainly study and we reflect on the gifts that we have, but it's really just it's a very comfortable, for us convenient Wednesday night time together every month, and it's just very just rewarding is a good word for me personally, as well as I think the group.
That's wonderful. I thank you for sharing your stories and experiences of building authentic friendships centered on Christ and helping others. If you'd like to join a Community for the Kingdom group as well, feel free to visit our parish website for more information.